Dusty May ran into Yaxel Lendeborg yesterday and joked with him that you're doing well, don't do too well. Yaxel said he liked that. Danny Wolf talked to Yaxel Lendeborg for the first time yesterday, and I asked Danny about like how he sees the way that the Michigan staff kind of fits their system to the players. And he said last year he had to kind of believe, right? He had not really much film to watch from FAU that would prove to him he could play with Vlad Golden. He had to believe it, and he had to believe in that staff and have the confidence that they could fit those pieces together. This year, he said, Yaxel has film to watch of me. Like to your point, Chris, earlier about what, can he do the same things as Danny Wolf? I mean, he was doing a lot of those things in that scrimmage. So I think, that really excites Yaxel Lendeborg. He said it was the second biggest, but besides his respect and admiration for Dusty May, it was the second biggest factor that influenced his decision to commit to Michigan in the first place. And yeah, he played well in the scrimmage, 13 points, 6 of 11 from the field, 0 of 3 from 3. If I were a Michigan coach there and I was watching, and there were some, I would have been kind of happy that maybe he didn't hit those threes, because then it would have been, okay, 19 points or like just what this guy can do everything. Like there were a couple guys that were showing out to that level, like Tahad Pettiford. Every time I go to a gym, watch a basketball game now, he's dropping 23 points like he did yesterday. Auburn guard. So there were some guys that kind of made that type of splash. I'd say Yaxel was like maybe top 5, top 6 of guys that showed out in that scrimmage. And the next scrimmage there were some others too, but 2 assists, 1 steal, 9 rebounds, 6 of them were on the offensive glass. He's relentless there, and I think that excites Michigan. They want to get better on both ends of the floor on the glass. Vlad, 3 points, 1 of 6 from the field, airball to 3. He was wide open, 1 of 2 from the free throw line, 2 rebounds, both on the offensive boards. Had a couple he could have grabbed on the defensive side. 5 personal fouls in less than 3 quarters, 2 or 3 just BS calls. He was joking about that when we got to talk to him off the camera, and he couldn't believe it. It's the NBA is supposed to be more physical, and there you go. 1 steal, 1 turnover from Vlad. I'm hoping that this dude gets picked, man. Late first round, hopefully that he could get something there, and I think he'll play better today.
Good, yeah. I'm excited for him, and it'll be fun to see where he ends up. I think he's going to make a team. Obviously, he'll be on a roster next year. He's going to have to improve his shooting, obviously, and we saw a few last year. There were times it was all or nothing, though, guys. When he was on, he was on. When he was off, he was breaking some backboards a couple of times there. So, but what a pleasure covering him, for a year. Wish that we had gotten to see him for 2 or 3 years. What a great kid he is. So love the fact that Dusty was there watching him as well. And, he wasn't just there for Yaxel Lendeborg. Anybody who thinks that doesn't know Dusty May and how he supports his guys. I've literally never heard anybody say a bad word about Dusty May anywhere. Even competitors and rivals have great things to say about him, and it kills them, right? It was kind of like when John Beilein was here and Michigan State fans said, I can't hate this guy. They just really, really want to hate this guy. Now they hate the fans and everything else about the university, but they can't hate John Beilein, and Dusty May is very similar. So, but Vlad, I'm hoping for the best for him. And I think this guy is a great teammate. And I think there are a lot of things that he can give, even in this day and age. Is that you in the background there, Clay? In that picture?
Yeah, it is. That's down in, I think, Atlanta, maybe.
There you have it. Okay. Yep. Clay was getting ready to check in. So, but I think he's going to have a good career wherever he ends up.
I do too. He just screams like backup big to me. Maybe your 9th or 10th guy off the bench, or 9th or 10th guy into a game, I should say. Really good player, really nice guy. I think that the physicality of the Big Ten early on, I think, was a little eye-opening for him. But it's crazy to say, given that he was in college as long as he was, I think you saw him get better. He was a known commodity, but thought you saw him get better. Obviously, took his game a little bit away from the basket, just shooting the open threes when they presented themselves. I carry the memory of seeing his first career collegiate 3-pointer in person down in Fort Myers, and that's made the whole trip worth it. Let me tell you, he's a good player. I think that he really took a step forward as a defender as well. So I hope he makes the team. Hope he plays a little bit better in this scrimmage. But really good to see him just out there, and cool for Dusty May to kind of see him through to the end as well. You know, they've been together a long time, and not that he's there to kind of shepherd him off into the NBA, but cool that he's there to watch and maybe give feedback and just going to take in the game with him as well.
Yeah, I don't think it could hurt that, like, how connected Dusty May is for Vlad getting that combine invite. I know he was kind of on the fringe, and I guess he was really excited when he got it. And by all accounts, has done pretty well there. Like, the scrimmage was what it was. He makes 2 more layups, and it's just a completely different story. But 7 foot barefoot. Like, he's not one of these guys that was listed 7'1". I know Danny Wolf was 6'10.5" barefoot. So you're 7 foot in shoes, but Vlad was listed at 7'1", 7 foot barefoot, 7'5" wingspan, I believe it was. And then did pretty well in some of the drills, not as much in the shooting ones. So yeah, and Dusty May was there, Akeem Miskadeen was there, Mike Boynton was there. They were watching all their guys, and Danny Wolf was sitting over there with Akeem Miskadeen during Vlad's scrimmage, and they were rooting him on. So it was kind of the whole Michigan family from that standpoint. I will say, just sitting across the court from Dusty May during that scrimmage, like, the amount of guys that came up to him and were like, the different coaches wanted to talk to him or just say what's up. Like, he knows just about everybody. Every time you turn around or you walk past him, he's in a different conversation with somebody, sitting down at a table with different groups of people. Like, I mean, this guy's just a real deal in terms of just the connections. And you hear about, I mean, Chris, you wrote an outstanding story the other day from your sit down with Dusty May about how, Elliot Cadeau, was it his high school coach or one of his AAU coaches, said, you got to go to Michigan. That's the place you want to play for Dusty May. And they went to Atlanta to meet with Michigan once the season ended down there. Like, that stuff doesn't happen for every coach and every program. Michigan is really lucky here.
They've got sources everywhere that respect them. And that's what really makes you feel good about the direction of the program, right? Whether it's an AAU coach or whether it's a high school coach. And some of those guys still matter, right? These high school coaches that have been there for a while, whether it's a prep school coach, whether it's a college assistant, Clay, that you talked about, talked to some of the actual Lenborg's people. It's unbelievable the ties that he has at, I think, 47 years old, 48. And he is, it's hard to believe that he's only been doing this for the short time that he has been. And the good news is he is a young 47 or 48, whichever it is. And this guy is going to be around for a long time. You hope it's at Michigan. Having spoken to him on and off the record, he loves it here. And, even when people were talking about Indiana, we made it pretty clear that we thought he wasn't going anywhere. And that was exactly the case. He really loves Michigan and he wants to be here.
Yeah, and I'm an old 32, by the way. So an old soul, as Chris likes
you
to
are
say.
an old soul. There's no question.
It feels good to, like, last year this time. Obviously, storylines a lot differently. They just put a roster together. You're seeing how things still come together, and even that we knew that Dusty was a good hire. There was the uncertainty of what will this look like? What will they do in year one? How do these pieces fit together? Now you come out of year one knowing that I think there's nothing but even brighter days ahead. As fun as this season was, they're going to have really good teams in the future that probably are going to win a lot of games, more than 1 or 2 possessions, which is kind of a key trait of this year's team. And just kind of keep pushing this thing forward. And you've got a guy who in Dusty, who's connected and can kind of hold court, so to speak, in these mixed sort of settings where you got coaches and players and agents and things like that. So it's cool to see. Michigan's not at the epicenter of the basketball universe per se, but I think they're in great shape and for now and for years to come. Yeah,
just the connections. Like, he almost hired Woj from ESPN last year as his GM before then he goes to St. Like, how they know each other and how they're friends enough to go to a Bruce Springsteen concert with Adam Schefter together. Who knows? But, like, that's just years and years of him talking to anyone and everyone that he could, trying to, learn about basketball, but also make connections and all that. And Chris, you mentioned it with all the sources around the country. I mean, just the like speed at which you have to work now with the transfer portal. They're just so well adept for that landscape. the whole Penn State staff was there as well. They are probably nervous as hell. Their big man, Yannick Niedenhauser, earned the combine invite from the G League Elite Camp. So if he would go, maybe that helps. Who knows? The Michigan, maybe he'd be a second rounder, but maybe that hurts Vlad, helps Michigan's chances of getting Yaxel, helps Michigan in the Big Ten playing against Penn State. But I wouldn't be too worried about Penn State with the talent Michigan has. But he's been a talk of the combine.